Good evening, everyone. God bless you, and welcome to this session with El Moria, Tuesday with Moria. I was meditating on what the Master would like to share, and he had me wear this funny hat, which I got free at my bank. And fortunately, it's called Opportunity Bank, and I like the name because opportunity, we know, is Portia, the goddess of opportunity. So opportunity knocks, yet after opportunity knocks, she enters when we open the door, and then it is up to us to use opportunity to serve, to save, and to invest. So opportunity knocks and enters. When we receive her, that's great. She teaches us, and then we can serve, save, and invest. We have to serve first before we can save something. We have to do work before we produce fruit and seeds to save. Once we do, then the fruits of our actions ultimately become profit. And we prefer to have profit rather than debt. Debt means divine energy badly treated. Divine energy badly treated, debt, D-E-B-T. The opposite is profit. Providence, rationally or reasonably optimized for investment or trade. So again, profit is providence, what God provides through his providence, rationally optimized or reasonably optimized for investment or trade. Now, unfortunately, our divine economy is not in full sway yet in the United States and throughout the world because of malpractice. And El Moria says malpractice. You know, there are a lot of malpractice suits against doctors and maybe even attorneys. Well, if we threw out all the corrupt ones in our government, many of whom are attorneys, how many would be left? Yet the corruption is deep in the deep state, and our debts are very high. When we spend what we don't have, we eventually go bankrupt. And America and our economy is skating on thin ice, as we know. Even though things seem to be getting better, we still have a huge, tremendous national debt. And this is a burden upon us and future generations. What do we do about it? Well, we use our bank account, our Opportunity Bank. What is our bank? Our causal body. The causal body is the biggest bank that we have, and we get great bang for the buck from our causal body if we choose to use the resources within our causal body for God good. Our causal body is a giant reservoir of light composed of all the good deeds that have risen to heaven that we've done in every lifetime. The more good that we do, the greater the energy within our causal body, which as a cosmic bank account or reservoir, we can call forth light from to do even greater works. So Jesus said, greater works shall you do because I go to the Father. And when he went to the Father, as I am presence, he merged with that I am presence and was able to access greater light to invest in us, his disciples, in the true initiates, the sons and daughters of God still upon earth, who call upon the Lord, call on the name Yeshua or Jesus, Isa, and through that call, that invocation, we access the light of his presence, his causal body, which I can assure you is a gigantic causal body and reservoir of light. When we call to his causal body or any ascended master who likewise has ascended, we tap into this phenomenal resource of light, this reservoir of God consciousness and all of the virtues. We can bank on it. We can bank on the ascended masters because they are true, they are noble, they are pure, they are divine. They have merged with God. So I'd rather access the bank account in heaven of the ascended masters and of my causal body and the great blue causal body and the great central sun, and use those energies of spirit to continue to do great works on earth while yet in embodiment. Because our causal bodies are these cosmic reservoirs or banks of light and virtue, we should use them wisely and invest wisely as prudent ones do. Those who desire to remain in the profitable state of beingness rather than the debtful state of unreasonable non-beingness, where we are spending more than we have. And we have systems upon earth now where we can get loans, we can get mortgages, and we have to put up the capital typically to prove that we have something to work against that debt or that loan in case we default. Banks used to loan more liberally, and now they are more conservative based on the busts that have occurred in 2008 and other times. So we have to work to build capital in order to have a certain abundance that then can be used in order to secure loans if we desire to do certain work, let's say build something or build a business or engage in some new endeavor. And when we pay back those loans with interest, the banks are happy. And when we don't, they aren't happy, and yet they may come after you and secure their payment through whatever you put up for collateral. All of this that happens on earth through the banking system is mirrored in heaven in the way that light operates, investments, grants of light from the ascended masters, and we've received many teachings on these grants or dispensations that the masters have received as grants of energy to then work through their disciples on earth to do work, to enlighten people, to bring people to the feet of the masters where they can make their decisions on what they will do with the resources afforded unto them. The Heart Center movement is a grant of energy, it's a dispensation of light, and each of us receive dispensations and graces and grants based on our level of givingness, our level of commitment, constancy, virtuous living, what we have proven based on actual work, service, based on actual events, and that which we have proven through the law of the One. El Morya takes this opportunity to thank the Goddess of Opportunity and Saint Germain for helping to increase divine revenue on the earth through the use of the violet fire, the violet light, the violet laser light. Because when we use opportunity wisely and we invest appropriately, judiciously, then we build the kingdom of God upon earth. And this word judiciously is interesting because it harks to accurate, proficient judgment. We do things in the right spirit, using wisdom, truth, honor, integrity, rather than doing something with a lack of judicious understanding, which brings us to improper investments. I know people that have claimed now for a number of years that there's going to be this huge recalculation of currencies around the world. And so they've invested in things like the dinar and the Vietnamese money, and they think that they're just going to get rich overnight through some sort of recalculation of all these currencies around the world. I'd like to give you notice today from El Morya and the Goddess of Opportunity and Saint Germain and the Divine Director that a lot of this thinking is irrational. It doesn't work according to cosmic law because we know that we reap what we sow. We have to sow in order to reap. And to think that you're just going to somehow get rich quick through some investment in a currency overnight through a recalculation of the monetary system somehow in the world is more than just wishful thinking. It's irrational, nonsensical investing. When you invest, you should always receive a receipt for your investment. I know people that invest in various things, and there is no money trail, no proof that they gave the money to a certain person for this or that. And I know people that invest with people that don't even have a license to practice in the investment area. And so El Morya was very concerned about this quite so many months ago and has asked our leadership to comment on it. And to my knowledge, I don't know that it has actually been commented on yet publicly. So El Morya is doing it tonight because he doesn't desire to see any of you lose money that you have worked hard to earn. If you have invested anywhere with anyone who is not licensed, go back to that person and ask for proof of your purchase or your investment, a receipt, and if they are not licensed, ask for your money back, because it is not righteous for someone to take your money without the right credentials, the right licenses, and they must prove that you gave them the money by offering you a receipt. When you donate to our Heart Center movement, we send you immediately an electronic receipt, and then at the end of the year, we send a letter, if you give regularly, of all your donations and tithes for the year. And I just received mine yesterday with Mona, and many of you have just recently in the last few days or the last week or so received your letter. This is responsible accounting and bookkeeping. If someone tries to take your money and says that they're going to invest it for you without being licensed or without the right credentials, or they do not give you a receipt, beware. You're basically throwing your money away. I recently heard of two individuals, one who just passed on, who was apparently investing money through a Nigerian scheme to the tune of thousands of dollars, and another friend of mine from the past is not in the Heart Center. Neither of these individuals are in the Heart Center activity, but another friend who should know better, who also did the same and lost potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Now, I don't have any physical proof of this. This is hearsay. Yet, watch out for schemes. Don't trust anyone from Nigeria or anywhere in Africa who tries to tell you that you're going to get rich quick by doing this or that. All these emails go out all the time from these Nigerians who are seeking your money, and they try to fool you by saying, oh, we have all this money, all you have to do is claim it, blah, blah, blah. You've probably, many of you, seen these emails. They're all scams. Well, there are other scammers, and some are very close to us, and we have to beware. El Morya is telling everyone within our Heart Center movement, Be careful where you invest. Be prudent. Do your research. Do your due diligence to research anything before you invest. If you invest in something, know the risks, know the opportunities and the risks, and take into account what those risks may be so that you know what you're getting into. And you really shouldn't invest in the stock market unless you know that you can afford to lose that money. And how many people have seen their IRAs or their 401ks virtually dissolved almost in an instant because of the way the stock market works? And we've seen in the last 3 days, going back to Friday, what's happened there. El Morya's comment on what has transpired is that this was a correction because, of course, the stock market went very high very quickly over the last year, and it was a correction. And this was what happens in the stock market. You can't expect it just to go up, up, up forever. It's unrealistic. If you desire to invest in stocks, it's a long-term investment, and it should be a 20-plus year investment, not even a 10-year investment. I don't desire to work with the stock market because I see it as almost a type of gambling. And I believe that investing in our future through property and through appropriate funding of initiatives that we know and have proven to bring back results and assets to us is much more prudent. So what can we bank on? We can bank on the fact that we're going to be working virtually our entire lives, many of us up to the time of our demise if we are healthy, because work is good. Yet some have to retire from a job that they no longer desire to do at a certain age, or they may be even forced into retirement or out of a job. So saving becomes important. We have to have a new mindset that saving after serving is important. Saving is investing in our own future and our end of life. Now, I, for one, was not a great saver. And I worked for a nonprofit, Summit Lighthouse, for 25 years, and there was no program for saving during virtually all of those years, even the last 2 years that I served in 2002 through 2004. So some of you worked for corporations and businesses where there were opportunities to put money into IRAs or 401ks or some sort of a retirement system. And praise God, I hope that you have enough to secure your future and your end of life time. And if you haven't, then you should sit down with either a financial planner or someone who has the wisdom to give you salient and appropriate advice in this matter. Opportunity knocks and enters. You have to open the door for opportunity to enter and to infuse you with light, wisdom, teaching, so that you can use that information to serve, to save, to invest. When you do this, you are a wise steward. El Morya desires wise stewards in this activity. Wise stewards. You are both the steward of your own energy, which your abundance is part of. You are the steward of your own auric field, which is God's energy invested in you. You are the steward of your family, if you are father, the mother, to provide for your children and your heirs appropriately. And within our community, every staff member, every volunteer is a type of steward of our collective resources so that we use the energies that are within these resources wisely, so that we are investing them appropriately rather than inappropriately and losing the energy within that money or that investment so that it can't do the best work. We desire the money that comes in to be invested in the most appropriate way to expand God's kingdom upon earth. By doing this, we are wise stewards. We are just stewards. And I can assure you, on our council and on our staff meetings, etc., we are very, very careful and prudent in how we spend money. We have honed our systems to the point of getting better and better and better at rationally and reasonably predicting through having budgets what we will spend and what we expect the investment on our return to be through that investment in that activity, let's say an expo or an event or a prayer vigil, etc., so that we can continue to use any profits to continue serving and to do more work, to hire more people, to do more blessed work for you and for the planet. Lanello is very happy with our level of what we have done so far, and El Morya is a little more prudent in hoping that we could have saved more money in the past. And so Lanello is actually a little bit more invested in the day-to-day work of the movement than El Morya is, who is operating at maybe a little higher level. Yet El Morya comes today on these Tuesdays to help us to see the forest through the trees, to see the long term, and to make wise choices for the long term. Now, what are some of these wise choices for the long term? Investing in our heart friends who have proven the law within their beings, that they are righteous leaders and servitors, that they have proven in their own life that they have been equitable in how they use and spend energy and invest, save and invest energy. It would be wise when we review applicants, even for our council, to have a question that says, how have you used your resources in your life wisely? Because if we expect this person to lead or help to lead our movement, and we see patterns of bankruptcy or something, that's a red flag. However, if we see someone who has gotten a great education, has had fantastic jobs, has saved, has been prudent, has invested wisely, and has multiplied that abundance in their life, this is someone who can be trusted to help lead because they make wise decisions. So this is something El Morya is recommending we actually have on our future applications, because we desire the most righteous as well as holy and prudent and wise leaders to help our movement into the future, rather than having people who haven't proven anything because they've bankrupted themselves, or they have no savings, or they simply are not prudent in the way that they operate their own personal lives and finances. El Morya loves each of us with a great passion that is a holy passion, which is God's will. And yes, the will of God is a loving energy. It wills us forward on our path, and that is a type of divine love as a thrust for a purpose. And sometimes it may take a little bit of a thrust to get us off of our derrieres to actually do greater work in order to serve, to set life free. So El Morya sometimes pushes us beyond what is comfortable, what we know, what we are comfortable with, and our points of seeming limitation, and sometimes even pushes us to do what seems to be the impossible within very short periods of time. How many times have we been asked to do something and it seems like there's so little time to do it, and so we push and we find out we are able to do it. We concentrate, we focus, and then the laser-like accuracy of God's will shines upon our endeavor, and there is an amazing alchemy that manifests, and the miracle comes, and we bypass time and space. We actually did bypass the normal flow of time and space. Why? Because we tapped into the will of God. We tapped into this dynamic, cosmic dynamo reservoir of light of the causal body of El Morya and other masters, and then we were able to accomplish those greater works in a shorter period of time. So in this way, the days are shortened for the elect, and in a sense, the days are expanded for the righteous to have more time to actually prove the law when time has to be expanded in order to accomplish other things. So time is relative based on perception, based on your vantage point, and the flow of energy working through you. Time is a manifestation of a type of energy which is malleable, El Morya says. And so when you are focused and you are with laser-like concentration doing work, time seems to go by very quickly, and you're amazed when you fulfill something how quickly that time went by. Time drags on for the unrighteous and those who while away their time in licentious living and inopportune experiences that were not focused on God's will. So when you focus God's will into any equation, you have the exact amount of time and space to accomplish the miraculous, or what seems out of the norm, because you put God to the test, and God is always able to provide the A of alpha for you to be victorious. So let us be prudent stewards, righteous workers, light bearers. Share our abundance as we are called internally, judiciously. Invest with those who have proven that they will use that money or that resource wisely, rather than those who promise all kinds of things, instant gratification, riches overnight. It never works. If it seems too good to be true, it is. Do your research, do your homework, check out what other people say about things before you invest, especially large sums of money. And through prudence and providence, you will prove the power of God manifesting through who you are as a son or daughter, righteous in your choices and how you use that opportunity, which will continue to knock and provide a great bank, Opportunities Bank of Light. So thank you, all of you participating tonight. Thank you, Helen, Estelle Marie, Wallace, and all others. Bless you and good night.